What up, people?
Hello,
Howdy.
everyone.
We are here. Yes, we're back talking about Monarch.
Yes.
Yay!
About time.
Yes, people, you have demanded it. We will give it to you.
Yes. This
uh,
week we're on episode 6.
yes.
hmm
So, I know I wasn't here last week for episode 5, so I just want to get your guys' like kind of like general thoughts about that episode. Like, what did you guys think of that one?
It sucked. they
Okay.
killed they killed they finally start developing
Okay.
Kentaro and then they kill
Yeah.
him.
Then they're like, "All right, he's dead." Like, what?
Yeah. And I was thoroughly disappointed with this episode because they did no follow up to the aftermath of the end of episode 5. Like it's just like, oh, everything's back to normal.
No, they kind of no.
Yeah.
They had the funeral, didn't they?
Yeah, but like I was expecting them to pick up where the episode left off and showing them like, you know, the medical crew trying to work on Kentaro and like Monarch taking Brenda and May in custody or whatever,
Uh-huh.
something. And it's like, yeah, we had the funeral, and then like it just seems like everything else was just whatever. It was whatever.
Well,
Nothing happened.
Kentaro left after that. He was like, "I'm not doing this anymore."
Yeah. I just felt like it was just really unexpected to see him get killed off in the last episode, and now they're moving to the funeral.
Well, they're kind of waving a couple death flags. I feel like in episode 5, I'm just like, he's making amends. He seems to be in a pretty happy place right now with everybody. He's gonna die, isn't he?
Yeah,
And then that all that shit happened.
yeah. And of course, I'm getting his name wrong. But yeah, I don't know. I like I said, I appreciated the development that they had for him last week and everything, and just it just sucks that he was killed like that. And it one of the complaints that I had last time was that you know um, Kai didn't recognize anything about what Kate was saying about her experience in like San Francisco or whatever. And this week it finally clicked. Like, oh, that's what you're talking about. With regards to her hearing uh, the kaiju,
Mm.
which she still didn't acknowledge that she heard it too.
Yeah. Well, I feel like with like Kate, I feel like the difference between Kate and Keiko is that I feel like Keiko only kind of had like one sort of like experience, like feeling it, while everybody else didn't. Kate, I feel like has had a bit more, has like a couple more times where she's like heard the vibrations on her own, and I feel like she's become more familiar with it than like Keiko did.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I just like the fact that Keiko is like, "Hey, do you hear that?" And Lee was like, "No, I don't hear anything. What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And to me, that stands out. Like that
Mm.
would be significant. I'm hearing something that nobody else can hear. What's going on?
Yeah.
And then you have your granddaughter saying something similar.
Yeah. Saying the same thing.
Yeah.
And
I could see that. I guess you could maybe chalk it up to just like Keiko just being so, I think, still trying to like get accustomed to being in like the new world and almost like everything she's gone through. So I feel like that little moment of her just like n- hearing something that Lee was not hearing, I think
yeah,
is something that like somebody could easily forget, especially with as much shit as she went through. So I could kind of like chalk it up to just like, I don't know, like faulty memory or something. So
or
like
just poor writing.
or that too, I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to I don't know.
I know,
It
but
just kind of seems like a silly nitpick to me. I'm just like, okay.
well, but it's significant because it's focused on the specific
Yeah,
kaiju.
but I can and I understand that too, because like yeah, I think what would have been better, I think, when Kate sort of first mentioned it, is that we probably should have gotten like a shot of like Keiko, maybe like slowly starting to remember that moment where she had that same feeling, so that creates a bit more of a buildup, and then before maybe Keiko had a chance to like talk to her about it, in like episode 4 or whatever it was, like they're already like doing something else, and so like she never gets a chance to like communicate with her about it.
Yeah, that would have been better.
Yeah, I feel like that they probably should have done that.
Yeah. So that's just that's my little pet peeve about it. I should have
directed the episode. I should have directed the episode myself. I would have included that.
I think you should be a director. You should be in the director's chair.
I'm going to be. Don't worry. That is my goal.
Please fix it all of this.
Yes, fix it all.
So, but
yeah,
and then I like how the Godzilla fight was just a dream, and it's like, okay, well, what?
Oh, wait, no, this is episode 6. We'll get to that soon.
Oh,
I was
sorry.
talking about episode 5. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's basically all episode 5 was. It was just a bunch of talking. Then we had the kaiju attack, and that was it.
Yeah,
it was pretty lame.
For me, is that what you really feel, Kyle? Or you're just like going off Peach's opinion?
No, I'm just being honest with like, I feel like it could have been made like there's just a little bit of like human character talks, but instead we just get like a monster attack. I'm just like a little disappointed with that, but it's fine. It's just what it is.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought episode 5 was fine. I thought, although like as much as this like, oh well, they kind of killed him off. Hiroshi's death was. I was like, yeah, Hiroshi's death. I was like, that. Yeah, I kind of wish they didn't do that, but at the same time, I thought it was probably like one of the only moments in the show where I actually did feel something for the characters. I was like, well, at least it managed to get something out of me in there. I also did like the opening too, with kind of like Hiroshi kind of being stuck between these two families, where he's on the phone with Kate while waiting for Kentaro's like birth. So it's just like showing like how trapped he was, and then it also proves that like we were wrong about the age difference between the two of them. Turns out Kate was the older one and Kentaro was the younger one. I was like, oh, I totally thought Kentaro was the older one. Oh
well. And just that they were like 5 years apart.
Yeah.
Because I thought that they were closer in age, like maybe 1 or 2 years apart, if not the same age.
That's very interesting. I did not know that. I must have like missed that, DJ.
Yeah, because I think that they mentioned that she was 5 at the time, or something like that. At least that's the impression I got.
Yeah. Other than that, I guess that's it for episode 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll go on to episode 6 now. So episode 6. We'll just do a like general discussion about it.
Yeah. I mean, like I started mentioning, the kaiju fight, Godzilla showing up in the dream sequence was interesting.
Yeah.
And, you know, because it looked like it was right after he left the bar or whatever. So it's like, okay, you know, and then for me, it kind of brought into question, like, okay, was he dreaming about meeting the girl at the bar? And then all of a sudden he picks up the phone and he's like, hey, let's talk or whatever. And it's like, okay, I guess that was real. So, whatever. But yeah, we got, you know, so much development from seeing May, Korra, that she's back.
Yeah, we had a like little moment between the two of them.
Oh, sorry, wrong, Rhonda.
Yeah.
Like, jeez.
All right, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to share my fucking screen. Anyway.
Did you break it?
No, this is a new computer, so I'm not sure how to fucking share screen on this goddamn thing. Fucking annoying.
Should just be. Let's see here.
All I have like an Apple like MacBook or something like that, so I don't know how to do share screen on this thing.
Oh,
I thought I would know how to do it. I thought it was just a simple share screen, but it's not letting me pick what window to share.
interesting.
Yeah,
That's totally new.
It's stupid.
No, that's what you get for buying Apple.
I didn't know it was gonna be like this. I thought it'd be simple.
Nope.
Oh man. I mean, here I can probably try sending it to one of you guys.
You can send it to me.
Okay.
Hold on. Yeah, I'm in the podcast.
DJ, what's your Gmail?
I'll put it in a private chat. I don't want to broadcast
yeah, don't say it out loud. Put in the comments. Let me see.
Just a moment, folks.
Yeah, hang on. We're trying to figure it out. Is it private? Oh, there it is. Oh, okay. I already have it up there. Nice. Here we are. I think it should already be shared with you, actually. You can check.
Let me see here. Shoot me. I got it.
You got it?
Well, I don't know. It says season 2, episode 3, but
Yeah, that's the one.
okay.
I just never. I know. I just never changed the title of it. I just kept adding new.
Okay. Give me 1 second to get back over here.
Okay.
Let's do this. Do it. I'm sharing it.
Oh wait, at the stage. There we go.
All right, perfect.
Got it.
And then I'm just trying to.
It's,
I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I've been in this.
yeah. No, it's good. It's view and then like slideshow.
That's right.
Yeah. There we go.
Yay!
We got
All
it.
right.
Yes. All right. We have visuals now, so we can make it a bit more interesting. All right. So yeah, starting off with this image, of course. We have the opening of this episode, which is Kong, like just chilling.
Yeah.
Charles like drawing like do some sketches of him. I thought that
was pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool opening. I thought it was nice to see Kong since we had like seen him since episode 2. So I was like, well, at least we get to see him for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of like that moment too, where you have a bit of like a connection between the two of them, and then Kong just like does like a little growl, and then Kentaro just runs away.
Yeah.
I was like,
I think it was. Yeah, I was thinking like he's telling them get out of here.
Yeah,
that's what everyone's saying on the internet. It's
yeah.
like,
I think, and I think the reason why is because I think Kong kind of recognizes that Kentaro was with Apex, and Apex is like doing some stuff on the island that Kong's not really a fan of. Like they said, like he was allowing them to do that. Like he didn't feel like they were a threat, but that didn't really mean that he especially like trusted them.
Yeah.
Because Kong is more like just focused on the island itself and just protecting it. And so like these humans, these outsiders, he's like, whatever, like as long as you guys don't like do anything too reckless or too drastic, I won't cause any trouble. So that doesn't mean I like you being here. So, but I did like how they kind of like had that, like he still had that kind of like soft spot, because Kong in this universe does have like this sort of fondness for humans, and so he doesn't really go after them unless he's like provoked, or unless they're like a threat to the safety of the island, like Packard was in Skull Island. So, I know that was a good moment, and then we also had another little good moment too between Kentaro and Hiroshi, where like Kentaro gives him like one of his drawings, and interestingly enough, Hiroshi mentions that he was actually in Axis Mundi at one point, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, that
I
was
thought that.
an interesting reveal.
Yeah, I was like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah. Nothing like just casually throwing something out. And then
That felt a bit odd to me. I was like, okay, that's kind of an odd place to make like a big revelation like that.
yeah, so basically he went to Alaska, got sucked in, and then a year later popped up in the desert where he called Godzilla by mistake. At least that's how I understood what he was saying.
Yeah, I think so, because that's like, I think the way he was trying to say it was that like when he went in was what awoke in Godzilla, like I think in that kind of like safari kind of like desert area that we saw him appear in, like I think episode 6 of season 1, where like we kind of have that callback to when Godzilla like came out of the dirt in Mothra versus Godzilla almost. So yeah, so they mentioned that, and I thought that was interesting. But then right after that, we cut to the funeral. So I was like, oh, okay.
That was like pretty quick.
Yeah, I actually did like the funeral scene. I thought like it was a very sort of good. It had a good sense of atmosphere, and
it
felt
was
very
well done.
like emotional. Yeah, exactly. Like, and it was interesting too to see how like in Japan they kind of like execute a funeral compared to like what we do here in the States. Like, I'm not really too familiar like what their like traditions are in terms of
they
like,
cremate
funerals.
everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why like there's so many headstones so close to each other, is because they're all like cremated, and they typically make it like a family plot. So that's why when you see Keiko like lift the panel, and then there's already another can down there.
Mm-hmm.
That's somebody else from the family. So it could be like her her first husband or something like that, or but that's how they typically do it. So, and then like a family member or something will always come by. Like you can see this bucket right here. It's typically used with like a ladle to wash the like headstone.
Okay.
Whenever they visit it, and like they'll usually do like an incense or something, or a short prayer, but usually they'll sprinkle some water on the headstone to kind of clean it. So, but yeah, it's very respectable, and like I said, very, very compact.
Yeah. No, I thought it was cool though. I thought like yeah, like again, like I'm not too familiar with like Japanese like I guess like funerals, so like I just found it interesting that a show like this like showcased it to like such a wide and broad audience. So I thought that was just like a cool addition to the show.
Yeah,
and like I thought everybody did like amazing acting in this like little moment, especially like Kurt Russell, like the little like minute kind of expressions that he was kind of like showcasing, because like you have Hiroshi's close family all showing up, and then you have like Lee, which is just kind of like a distant uncle to him, but like it still like affects him as much as everybody else.
Yeah.
And then we also get that moment too where surprisingly old Suzuki shows up. I was not expecting that. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the old makeup and everything. And honestly, I thought the old makeup actually looks pretty good on him. I'm like, oh, they did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Like, I buy it. Yeah, so that was really cool to see that character like make a comeback all of a sudden. So I thought that was a neat addition to the scene.
It is his expression when seeing Keiko.
Yeah, he's like, what the fuck? He's like, how do you look that good, and yet how do I look like this? How is that possible?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That was good. That was like some good like comedy in the midst of all this drama. And like speaking of that drama, of course, we have that little moment with Kate and Kentaro, where she's trying to talk to him, and Kentaro's is not having any of it because he's just pissed. He's like, what were you even doing out there? Like, you were out there, and he went to go save you. Like, what the hell was wrong with you? Why did you go up to that thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course we understand why Kate did. It's not really her fault because it was just like something that was just, like she wasn't even herself in that moment. Like something was just like
Yeah.
having control over her head, and so like, and it even got worse too when Titan X got shot by the drone, started like writhing around in pain.
Yeah, and she was experiencing it too.
Yeah, and a lot of people have also mentioned this too, that Kate is kind of like similar to Miki from the Heisei series, and I'm like, oh shit, they're right.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought when I first saw that scene. It's very. I'm same as you. I'm just like completely blown away.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, then we have but then we get the argument between the two of them. I can kind of understand Kentaro's place, but also like I don't feel like it's kind of like right to blame Kate for it. But at the same time, these two siblings have kind of always had this sort of animosity with each other because of just like their father keeping both of them a secret from each other. So I feel like that's just having that, and then having this moment too, just kind of like scatters the relationship even further than it already was. So yeah, so we have that, and then let's see what we have next. Oh yeah, and then talking about the past storyline.
Yeah. So this was a pretty interesting sequence.
Yeah.
You know, Lee's trying to put some space between them, you know, because of his feelings and everything like that. And then his dad just steps in and is like, no, you're going to do this instead.
Yeah. If he was going to go work, I think, with the other colonel that we saw in season 1.
Yeah.
But then the dad's just like, no, don't worry about it. You're going to work under me instead. And at least it's like, that's like the last thing I would want to do.
So, and then he shows back up just in time for them to go into the opening sequence from first season.
Yeah, I actually thought that was actually really cool. The connection between like this whole part of the past and then leading up to like literally the first thing we see in episode 1 of this like entire series. So I thought that was like a cool, so like full circle moment where it's like leading to that. Because I remember it showed like the date, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, wait a second, wasn't that like the date when like Kay got dragged down to Access Monday? So like when did this happen? Like a couple months or some of that before this, and like it turns out, like almost like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Like before it occurred. So and I thought too the conversation between Lee and his dad was very interesting, where like his dad was just not his dad was just like not dealing with like Monarch at that point, because he's just thinking like, no, like the only thing we have right now is that we need to like just destroy these things. Like we just need to like take care of them. And Lee's just like, research and defense though. Like that's kind of like Monarch's whole like motto. And Lee's dad, you could tell, has sort of stayed in that sort of like stationary in that sort of old military way of thinking, where it's like if you're a threat to the safety of the nation, we got to eliminate you. And like that includes like Titans and Kaiju. But you can see on Lee's face that in his head this entire time he's thinking like, my dad has no idea like what the hell is like out there, what the hell we're up against. Like he even describes it like, I saw one literally the size of the Empire State Building. I'm sure he's like exaggerating it, but like we obviously know that he's probably like referring to Godzilla. Like I think anybody who saw Godzilla step out of the ocean in front of the A bomb, if you saw that in real life, you'd be like, yeah, no. I don't think any of our military would be able to take a thing like that down.
Well, the fact that they thought that the A bomb took him out, and then he sees him later on, and he's like, yeah, that just powered him up.
Yeah, that just made him stronger. Like one of the most deadliest weapons we have ever created only fueled this thing. So it's just like shit.
Yeah.
Shoot, I was just gonna say something. Yeah, his dad reminded me of Samuel Jackson's character in Kong Skull Island.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
wow, yes. No, that's a good insight right there, DJ. Yeah, I can see that too. So that very like strict sort of military like mindset where it's just like take out the enemy, no matter what.
Whereas Bill Randa was like, no, we need to like study this guy.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's
Jackson's like, no, he killed my guys, I'm killing him.
yeah, exactly. And it's almost similar to like Sarah. You can almost like akin that to like 2014 between Sarazawa and his relationship with that colonel in that movie, where they wanted to take out all three of them and want to take out the two Miyatos and Godzilla, but Sarazawa was like, no, no, no. Like Godzilla is literally nature's balance. He's literally acting as nature's protector. Like just let him handle this, and everything will be back to normal. But of course, the military, they're like, that's cool and all, but do you understand when these things go up against each other, there's going to be casualties. A lot of people are going to die, so we can't just like sit back and do nothing.
Yeah.
It's usually, I think it's about the concern of the people's lives, that the people in the military always act when the giant monster attacks, or even fight for dominance. And it's happened a lot in every monster movie, and it's even playing in that episode, which is definitely is interesting, and that I think we all must think about.
Yeah,
it's usually, at least how they portrayed a lot of these military leaders in the MonsterVerse, is that to them, anything that's potentially stronger than them has to be taken out. Like they have to find a way to nullify it immediately, because they have to be the biggest threat in the world.
Yeah, we have to be the top dog, and that's kind of just like akin. That's just like almost like I think an example of just like how sort of egotistical and arrogant humanity, unfortunately, sometimes can be. Or like we have to be the top dog in like almost situation where it's just like, do we though? Can we just take a step back, just calm down?
But I mean, that's like the Blue Oyster Cult's Godzilla song, you know.
Yeah.
Fault of humanity is
nature again and again points out the folly of man.
Yeah.
So it's like, and even like Sarazawa, and like Sarazawa's like message in the first movie, like really connects to this episode, where like the arrogance of man is thinking nature is in our control and not the other way around. Yeah. That is like very like I think that like represents the situation that Lee himself is going through in this episode, especially in the current timeline, where like him and Suzuki have this like false notion that they're going to be able to control Godzilla and lead him to go fight Titan X, where it's like, no, Godzilla's going to do what he's going to do. Like you can't tell him you can't control his direction.
Yeah, they think just popping him down in front of Titan X, he's going to just take him out. And it's like, well, no, because if he doesn't perceive him as a threat to the world, he's not going to bother.
Exactly. And plus, too, if they do end up going at it with each other, what's the possibility that they end up meeting in a densely populated area?
Yeah.
And then we're just going to have another G-Day, like they keep saying. We're just going to have a repeat of that, which unfortunately happens later on in the MonsterVerse.
Yeah.
Because I just find it funny how they try to prevent all this. And then it's like, here, give it 2 more years, and the King Ghidorah shows up. And then give it a couple more years, and then Godzilla versus Kong. And a couple more years, and then you get the 4-way fight between Scar King and Shimo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then wait for Supernova, which I'm sure is going to be even worse. Because Godzilla is going to lift up a bunch of buildings with his telekinesis and just go, boop, just drop all of them.
Or just starts picking up people and using them like bullets.
Yeah, like a slingshot. Just flicking them. And Godzilla's like, no.
You just see him start turning red.
Yeah, you're like, what the oh man. That's like something out of Invincible. Just like, no.
I was thinking of like the Rampage game, but
oh god, yeah. No, it's like Omni-Man holding Invincible in front of the train. Letting all the people hit him. Here, son, where do you want to go? Subway? Okay. Yeah. But I thought the past storyline in this was pretty interesting. So yeah. Thumbs up in that category for me.
That's pretty good.
Yes. And then we get
forget this sequence.
God. And then we get to this.
The bar is changed. It's now a family bar.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I did like that Kentaro wasn't really like having her shit in this scene. I like that he kind of like stood up for that. but also too, like I just think at both of these instances that these two should not have a conversation at all because like they're just both in a very very poor mindset, especially Kentaro. Like he
Yeah.
literally just lost his dad, and uh, May is still kind of dealing with the effects of that what she was a part of. Like she literally made Titan X go insane and get pissed off that killed Hiroshi.
Yeah.
So I feel like that kind of is still on her mind, and so and them trying to just have like a conversation and even trying to like engage in like some like romantic connection at that point was just very very poor judgment on both of their parts. And
Yeah.
like Kantaro's like little throw at her too, where we're like, okay, so you don't want me, so what, you try to go after my sister instead, or you try to go after my sister instead, you're gonna just backpedal to me. That's not how this works. And I was like, damn.
Yeah.
I was like, man, he called her out.
But see, like, this is what bugs me because there's so much that just is just in the void now because they didn't have any kind of like flashback to the aftermath or anything like that. Like, like Tim questioning her about what happened or anything like that. Like that's what I was expecting. I was expecting to see, Tim and his crew gathering whatever that they could and maybe discovering that one of the hard drives is missing or something like that. And, bringing Brenda and May in and everybody else from Apex or, something.
Mm-hmm.
We get nothing.
Nothing! Absolutely nothing!
Stupid! You're so stupid!
I don't have the same wavelength, TJ.
Yeah, well, what are you gonna get?
I can understand that too. Like I can understand. Yeah, I totally thought too we're gonna get like some kind of like follow up to this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they just cut right to the funeral, and I thought, oh, okay, that's an interesting move. Like I think it would have been stronger if like after that flashback we had with Kentaro and Hiroshi on Skull Island, if like we cut to like them talking to each other and like smiling with each other and having like a father son bonding moment, and then boom, hard cut to Hiroshi's dead body.
Yeah.
And just Kentaro looking over him. And that would have been like, oh God. That would have been like such a like a slap to the face.
And they could have even done it where there's no dialogue. It's just like music, soft music or whatever playing over and showing like, just kind of in like flashes, like them gathering up his body and escorting it. And, like I said, just even show like taking Brenda and May into custody, getting the equipment and stuff. Just like a short montage of that.
Yeah.
And then cut to the funeral. Like,
yeah. I understand. But yeah, they didn't do that though.
But no, we gotta have romantic drama some more. It's like, no, we don't. We don't need any more of it. Just stop with the romance stuff.
No, DJ, we need more. More.
Oh no, please don't.
Yes, we need more. That's what the audience is demanding. We need more romance. That's what Godzilla's known for. Romance, people. Romance, people. Come on now.
There's like little romance.
It was a part of Gojira, so it needs to be a part of the whole franchise now. It needs to be part of it, guys.
It would be different if like it made sense, but it's just it feels forced.
A bit, yeah. I will say though, I did, despite like the flaws I have with this scene, I will say that the probably the introduction of this character on like the bottom image, I thought was actually a pretty big like whoa, like a pretty big like twist where this stranger shows up. Her name is Isabel, and she tells Kentaro that Walter Simmons is her dad. And from people what remember, Walter Simmons is the human antagonist from GVK. So hearing that, you're like, oh shit, like, oh damn, all right. Okay. Which kind of confused me at first because I was like, wait, I thought he only had one daughter. I thought at first it made me think like, okay, so is this the same character, but she's just younger? But then it turns out that no, it's no, it's not. It's actually like his I think like his, I want to say this is the older sister, and Maria, I think, is or whatever the other girl's name is, the younger sibling.
I think it's Maya. I think that's Maya.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Maya Simmons. Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this is not the same character. I thought it was, but that just shows you I just forgot the name of that character from GVK. Yeah, but I thought that was interesting. Just like a good reveal, because I wasn't expecting like to have that such a big connection to the movies to suddenly appear. I was like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
And then I thought that was interesting too, where like she almost sort of like offered Kentaro to join Apex, and he's like, and you can tell by the way he is, he's just like, I'm not in the mood to like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to deal with Monarch, I don't want to deal with Apex, I don't want to deal with anybody. Just like leave me alone. Just let me wallow, please. So
But
yeah.
he changes his mind at the end.
Yep.
And then then he changes his mind at the end. And so yeah, so that's that scene.
Yep.
And then we get to the
yeah, that part. That's the part where I was like, come on. I was expecting like a real showdown. Now we get a dream sequence like we discussed earlier.
Yeah. Well, to
Dude.
be fair, I have conflicted thoughts about this. Pros, it doesn't break continuity, because that is the biggest problem I have with the MonsterVerse, is that it breaks continuity a lot. So I'm glad in this instance they decided, no, we're not going to break continuity, because in the timeline of the movies, Godzilla is not seen at all between 2014 to 2019 by the public. So he's absent through that amount of time. So I'm like, okay. So then seeing this in the trailers, you're thinking like, so how the hell did they cover this up then? He literally showed it in Tokyo. Like you can't cover that up and say, oh, he's been missing for 5 years. Like, no, what about the attack in Tokyo that he did? But then it turns out it's a dream. So I'm like, okay, good. So he didn't break the continuity. Thank you for that, at least.
No.
And the sequence itself is pretty awesome. It was cool seeing Godzilla, this version of Godzilla specifically, show up in Tokyo, which we have not seen yet. He has not shown up in any of Japan in any of the MonsterVerse movies. So seeing him appear in this situation was actually pretty cool. And it gave me some big, like, sort of like -1 vibes. And it also kind of gave me a bit of like GMK as well, with like him just like stomping through everything. Like it just reminded me of that. Especially like this shot here where like the searchlights are like being like shone on him, like in the movie GMK, where they did the same thing. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then like the visuals too of like him going through the city, and you see the explosions happening underneath his feet, and then you have like that grand wide shot of him and Titan X facing off with each other. I thought all of that looked awesome. So yeah, despite that, like it had some cool visuals in it, and I thought, and it was just nice seeing Godzilla again, because we had not seen him at all up to this episode in the season. So it was nice seeing him. Despite being a dream, it was nice seeing him show up. But then that leads me to the negative, where it was a dream. I was like, damn it. I was so upset. I was like, damn it. And I knew it was a dream too, because as soon as I saw Kate show up and just stand there like all calmly, I was like, this is a dream, isn't it? Son of a bitch. I was like, damn it.
There's something I think. There's something like I wanted to point out in this episode. I think if you think back, the monster's Titan X's roar that mimics Mothra, I think it might be a way to blend in its environment without being spotted by Godzilla. That's just my theory, because Titan X might be a peace Titan, but we do not know. So that might be, even though we see that in the dream, but it might be a way of her to avoid being detected by Godzilla.
That's good. Yeah, I can kind of see that, because in terms of the Titans, Mothra is like the only one that Godzilla has any sort of kinship with. So trying to mimic her roar would kind of like stave him off, just kind of being like, oh, it's just Mothra doing her thing. Like, I'm not going to bother that. So I guess you could kind of, I guess that's a decent theory, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, DJ, what were you going to say?
I don't know. Oh, okay. I was just saying, I don't remember Kate being in the dream sequence.
No, she was. When they were like running
Mhm.
away, Kentaro like goes, Kate, and like Kate's like standing there while everybody else is running, and she's like wearing like this kind of like black robe or something. And he's like, I told you it's not here to hurt us. Like while Godzilla's stomping through the city. So but
Okay.
yeah, when she shows up and she's acting all calm and everything, I was like, yeah, this is a dream sequence, isn't it? And then of course when the tail comes crashing through the buildings, cuts to Kentaro waking up, and I was like, I think the thing is, I would be more pissed if this was like the only scene of Godzilla we get in the entire season. But because we know that he is going to fight Titan X at some point, I was like, okay, it's fine. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. It's fine. But don't do that shit again. Next time they fight, be an actual fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that yeah, so positives and negatives of that scene. And then we have this kind of interesting sequence too where they're trying to like locate Titan X, and the signal's kind of like too weak. So Kate kind of takes it upon herself to just go submerge herself in the water and just like fully surround herself with the sounds. So I thought that was pretty interesting because like I just think like the whole connection between Kate and Titan X is one of the more like fascinating plot points to this season. So I like whenever they have the chance to kind of like develop it a bit more. So
Yeah.
I thought this thing was pretty cool, and like I thought the moment too with her underwater and you have the music kind of like this kind of mysterious sort of like unnerving music happening while you hear the sounds of Titan X come through. I thought like made for a very sort of like visual engaging little moment in the episode. So I like that about it.
And she, I found it interesting that like at first she was struggling in the water and then like almost became one with it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like yeah, like finally like Titan X and her were like finally starting to like almost become one at some point. So I thought that was like interesting. And like that too, where she says like when she comes out of the water, she says like hearing the sounds, she tells Keiko that it sounded almost as if Titan X was scared or like lost. So that was like interesting too, because like it builds more to that notion that Titan X perhaps isn't like like an evil Titan. It's just like a regular Titan that's just kind of like doing its own thing. It's not like a malevolent force like something like Star King or King Ghidorah,
Yeah.
where it's actively trying to cause destruction. It's just acting like any of the other Titans that we saw in King of the Monsters. So it's kind of like building more to that like fact that Titan X is just a part of the natural order.
Yeah, it's just trying to move around and get to its scarabs and then go back to the Monday verse.
Yeah, Access Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Access Monday. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say too,
Mhm.
the thing about this scene now, it actually did kind of remind me a bit of that dock sequence in Godzilla versus Biollante, where you have all the people standing around and looking up at Biolante's kind of like rose form. Like I don't know, just kind of like the setting of it in like this kind of like very open space, uh, earthy terrain with like the dock there. I was kind of like getting flashbacks to that movie in that scene. So I like that. And like again, Titan X, a lot of people say like it has like a very kind of like strong visual connection to Biollante in some shots. I was like, yeah, I can kind of see that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's a good point there.
yeah. So that's it for that scene, I guess. And then we get to the ending
Where-
here, and we get to Lee's master plan as well with
Yeah.
Suzuki.
Yeah, I like their sequence, their scenes together.
Mhm.
I thought it was pretty good, and found it interesting that he received his own signal.
Yeah, that was surprising too, because like when they're calling Access Monday, like I almost thought for a second we were actually to get Godzilla popping out of the mountain. I
Yeah,
was like, that would have been pretty badass if he did do that. We could have gotten like some very classic Heisei imagery where Godzilla always comes out of the volcano or something.
yeah,
I thought we were gonna get that. That didn't happen. But like something interesting happened where when they're trying to shut down the Access Monday portal, like I guess the flares or like the reflection of it is still kind of lingering behind.
yeah,
And he kind of like reaches out to touch it. So I was like very sort of intrigued by that because you've never really seen it do that before. So you're thinking like, what the hell is this? And then like finally when it's revealed when they're like the radio's like malfunctioning, and it calls to Lee, and it reveals that it's younger Lee on the other end. You're like, oh shit, like what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which honestly, this is the part where I texted that I was conflicted about, because I was like, honestly, I'm not too keen on this show diving into the time travel. I'm like,
No, they've
no, I'm not
essentially
really a
already
fan.
done that. I mean,
Yeah, true, but like I don't know. I'm not like a big fan of them kind of like trying to connect like the past and the present together in that sort of sense. I was like, I don't, because I feel like out of all the monsters we've had so far, that like Monarch is leading more towards 2014, where it's trying to go into that more realistic route.
yeah.
So them trying to do like a timeline sort of multiverse kind of plot, I was like, I don't know if I'm really on board for that. I don't really know that's the best. That's a good idea. Yeah, and I get that too. That Godzilla had the franchise itself has dived into time travel. I mean, look at Godzilla vs King Ghidorah and the Heisei series. That movie has a lot to do with time travel in it.
Yeah.
But like, I think the reason why I was just sort of like hesitant about them doing that is just because I think of just the plethora of multiverse storylines that we've had in movies and shows recently, especially in Marvel. Like, I feel like almost everybody's just gotten sick of it.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, we get it.
Well, I don't necessarily view it as them trying to introduce like, oh, we're going to go back in time or anything like that.
Mhm.
I kind of see it as a way, like, because the other guy, he was talking about time dilation, and he's like, that's what threw off my calculations before, because like I didn't understand it. And
Mhm.
he's like, now I have a better sense of it, so we might be able to do this better. So I think that's the fact that the radio signal came through now is going to like add into that.
Yeah.
Like Lee's going to be like, hey, I just heard my transmission that I set like 40 years ago or whatever it was.
Mhm.
Um, and like it just came through now. So like so that's going to add an extra factor into like, okay, so how much, is like, so we know that in that world it slows down compared to like, the normal world. So like what happens through that tunnel? Like, is extra time passing? Is it slowing? Is it stretching it out? Is it, it adds more questions to like what happens.
Yeah. And I will say too that like again, like at first when this episode ended, I was very sort of like negative towards it. But before we started this show, I was like watching episode 7, and like the way that they are handling that kind of plot, I was like, okay, I'm a bit more on board with it now, because I thought we were gonna do like a whole time travel stick with it. And I would have been like, no, I'm not. I'm not on board for that.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna add more. You're gonna add this more shitty drama and everything. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done with that. I want the kaiju, please. Just give me the Titans. I just want them back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I thought too, like talking about more about like Kurt Russell in this segment. I thought his acting was really, again, like his acting in his show, man, is like just really, really, really good. And especially
Yeah.
in that last moment too, where like you could just see the absolute like disbelief and like the absolute like surprise and shock. And just hearing his younger self speak on the radio on the other end, you could just see it in this image right here too. Just that look of like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like just
I like that.
like utter disbelief, just like that can't be possible.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, because again, it begs the question. Like, we understand, at least from what they've shown us so far, like when people, transfer from one realm to the other, like it seems to happen instantaneously or whatever. But this is a radio signal.
Yeah.
So, like, this is the first time that we're actually exploring like what happens with radio transmissions, and obviously, it came out way later. So,
Yeah.
so again, it'll to me it's opening up another avenue for him to make calculations for them to be able to pinpoint, like, okay, we could find Godzilla now more accurately. Like, if we really want to call him or
Yeah.
something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one other thing I want to add too is like I kind of liked how Lee was almost reflecting his dad in this, where he kind of like shared that mentality of just like we gotta destroy not all the Titans, but just like we gotta destroy Titan X rather than
Yeah.
like trying to like at least try to understand it and coexist with it. Because I think he just took Hiroshi's like death so close to heart that that rage and that pain is still like dwelling inside him that he just wants to kill this Titan no matter what, and he feels like Godzilla is like the perfect like key to doing
Yeah.
that. Like even says in this episode where like you're just gonna where he's like I don't know the exact line, but like he mentions like not when you have like the biggest attack dog or something like that, or the biggest dog
Yeah.
like on the leash, and so you're like, oh shit. Like I just find it funny how like you could add Lee to one of the characters in this like franchise that's like a full like fanboy of Godzilla. Just like, oh, there's a Titan problem, call Godzilla, let him handle
Yeah.
it. Like it's almost like similar to like Sarazawa, the way he was with Godzilla, where he
Yeah.
was just like, oh, just let Godzilla take care of it, it's fine. So I just find it funny that like Kurt Russell is playing a character that's just a huge Godzilla fanboy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I like
He's
it-
like me.
Because I mean, he understands the nature of it, you know.
yeah, exactly.
And he's the one military person that has the perspective that none of the others do.
Yeah, and I feel like is due to his time he spent with Bill and
Yeah.
Keiko, because having their kind of more scientific and like more understanding minds kind of rubbed off on him and made him a bit
Yeah.
more introspective than most military people would be in the situation.
Well, you know, like in the flashback sequence when he was talking to them, and he was like, you know, when I first met you two guys, I thought, it was going to be that. Like, I thought you guys were going to kill yourselves or whatever, and now it's like the other way around. And because he's not a scientist; he's military first and foremost. But he understands where they're coming from because of all this time spending with them and traveling with them, and then seeing everything that they were seeing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I still think I'm hoping that they don't kill him off by the end of the season.
I'm hoping so too. I'm like, I really don't want
Me
them to
too.
kill.
And I think it would be great for him to pop up in Supernova.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
And-
yeah, I'm hoping, yeah, because that was my biggest fear last season when like he fell out of like the device or whatever,
Yeah.
the transporter, like when they were like leaving Axis Mundi at the end of season 1. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? They killed Kurt Russell off. I'm like, why do they do this, man? They always bring in like such good veteran actors and then just kill them off. I'm like, stop doing that. It pisses me off.
Yeah, because like in all honesty, in my opinion, him and his son are the two that are carrying the show.
No, they are. You're not, yeah, no one's gonna argue with that.
And I mean, Keiko is like the next one.
Yeah.
So it's like the Russells and then the actress playing Keiko.
Yeah.
They're the
And
ones
I
that
would
are
also,
the most.
and then I would also said Hiroshi, but now he's dead.
Yeah.
So now it's like, damn it.
Well, yeah, especially again, right before he died, they finally got him out of being a one-tone character, and like, he was finally opening up, and
Yeah, being vulnerable again. So
yeah,
yeah.
and
so,
so-
Yeah. Mhm.
well. Yeah, but other than that, I think anything else you guys have on this episode, or I think we covered most of it.
You first,
It was
DJ.
it was nice to see the young Bill Randa again.
That's true. Yeah, it was nice to see his
Mhm.
actor pop up.
Yeah. I mean, it's not bad. I'm tired of the drama with like the romantic love triangle crap. And it still, again, it irritates me that we didn't see any type of fallout or anything other than the funeral from the end of the last episode. There, like I said, there should have been, even if it was a non-speaking, just quick little montage of them, like I said, gathering evidence, taking people into custody, whatever, discovering like, hey, there's something missing. Like just something to kind of cap that off. We get nothing. And it just jumps to the funeral. And it's like again, the funeral was good, but it's just now it's a big open gaping wound in the series. Like, okay, so May's just walking around all free. So obviously there's no repercussions for the bullshit that Apex pulled last time. So,
yeah,
I see. My
actually, your point on that, DJ. Again, going back to the episode 7 that I started watching, they actually do start to address more of that.
Oh.
So they do start to handle that more in episode 7.
Okay.
Yeah, so they do that at least. I'm not gonna say what happens, but they do like make it like they start to bring it back up again. I'm like, okay, thank you.
I guess better late than never.
Yeah, you're an episode short, but fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're gonna say Kyle.
I was gonna say it was. Yeah, I kind of understand the transition from the past to the present. It was okay. I just kind of think Kong Godzilla got a little more screen time in this episode, but they still are the stars of the show, and that's what makes me love them both. And seeing, I understand the drama, but to me, I begin to understand Kentaro's personality. He's blaming his sister for the death of their father, and he's feeling the very guilt that why he actually joined them in the first place, which why he went to the bar. And I really like this. I really like how he was basically, comes to his senses after he had a bad dream, and this what makes Kentaro, like, I want to say like interesting, but more like, I don't know how to describe about him, but he's basically coming to his senses and he knows he has to do something. And that's what really makes the characters, like, they have to struggle with their inner demons that they have come to terms.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say like that dream sequence brings him to his senses. I feel like this leads him down a darker path, because at the very end of this, he's like, he's going to go join Apex. So it's just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And, kind of makes me wonder, like, I know that, in the current time, they found that the orb was dismantled and everything like that. But I can't help but wonder, like, over the 2 years that we didn't get to see of them, like, how much did his dad explain how the device worked?
Yeah.
Because again, I'm still expecting, like, that eyeball that we saw in Godzilla, King of the Monsters, or no,
GVK.
Yeah, that's a form of the orb that they were using.
Yeah, because I think they mentioned in season 1 that Kentaro actually is like a pretty good like engineer or something like that, or like he has some like background in like engineering or some like computer based background. So I guess you can also chalk that up to like maybe him working on the eye at some point.
Yeah,
to where it looks more like the Mechagodzilla eye that we're used to, or that we see in the GVK film. So it's possible. Yeah. But anything else? Or...
There's one more thing I like to add. Even though, like, with Lee in this movie, like, I can see why he's thinking that Godzilla might be the best solution, because we see in every film, all the characters view Godzilla as like either the problem or a solution. Because I think we all seen this before, and I think we love how characters come to terms that we need him or we have to destroy him, and that's one thing I really want to point that out because I love how they added that into this episode.
Yeah, I will say, yeah, I do like that dichotomy between the humans in the monsterverse, where some are against Godzilla and others are like more in favor of him. And then it would be interesting, I think, if we had like a human character that was sort of in the gray area with Godzilla, where they don't fully trust him, but they still recognize his importance in like the grander scheme of things. So I think that would be cool. Oh, good. What's he grabbing?
Tell me who I think it is.
Since we're talking about Godzilla, I forgot.
Oh, shit.
I know.
Nice.
I had a feeling that was a Godzilla and Power Rangers figure.
Ranger.
Yeah. Cool. So I got blue, red, and green so far.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Those are the only 3 that they have out so far.
Oh. All right. I think that covers everything on episode 6.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, overall, a decent episode. I will say, again, I mentioned this, I think, in the group chat. I am starting to get a bit antsy. I'm like, all right, I need some kaiju shenanigans happening soon, people. We're already in episode 7, and we haven't really got that much. I kind of need some stuff, buddy.
You're not alone in this.
It all depends on what their budget is.
That is true. I think that might be I think the reason why they put more battles into this season, from what we've seen from the trailers, is probably why there's a lack of like kaiju stuff in each episode compared to like the first season.
Yeah.
So it's possible. It's an explanation. But yeah. So that's it for our recap on Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 2, Episode 6. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We will return next week for our recap on Episode 7. And yeah, shout out to Donald and Serge. Hope you two are doing well. Sorry, unfortunately, you guys couldn't join us, but hopefully next week you guys can. But yeah, other than that, I think that's about it for the show tonight. So yeah, we will see you all next week. And later, people.
That's Day.
Bye.